Hey dude, what's up? So, here is a mix that's vaguely similar, I guess. Something I did a while ago, so it's still in my old template, funnily enough, which I scrapped. But yeah, let's dive in. So, the end of the song is more built up. It's got some drums, some claps, some more vocals and stuff, but the core of the song is closer to what we're working on for Luke stuff. So I'll play you the intro and then we'll kind of dive into the routing and hopefully you can make some sense of it.
I've had weeks where I can't get up. The world seems so heavy and it's all too much, it's true. Darker days and even bleaker nights. It won't be forever, but this can't be right, I'm sure. Call me.
Okay, so that's good. It starts getting a bit bigger from then on, but what we'll do is go through the basics. So where to start? So everything has its own bus. So the track comes in and the lead vocals goes to a lead vox sub, and then on that sub I've got things like taking it to the rear bus or the mix parallel, and then the plate, room, reverb 3. I don't know if reverb 3 would have always been on there. And then yeah, on the sub I'll have a load of stuff. The lead vox sub goes to the sub mix, which I'll have a bit of bus processing on, nothing too serious, my favourite multiband trick. And I can't remember why I put an extra stage here. I think there is a reason, some sort of gain staging reason, I think. But yeah, submix goes to, I remember why. Submix goes to a submaster, and submaster will have my limiter on, and maybe some final EQ. I think that looks like that would have been a match EQ jobby. Yep. And yeah, the reason I have a submaster is because you can get into all sorts of what would it be, like feedback issues when you have a mix parallel going into your submix, into your 2 bus. So submix is for the whole mix, and then the mix parallel is being sent from my subs here, and then these two combine into the submaster, and it also stops any clipping that I maybe don't know about. It's kind of like a final metering stage, I guess. I'm pointing at the screen, you can't see me. I don't know why I'm doing that. Right, and then so acoustic guitar, similar jobby, sent to an acoustic guitar bus, which is down here somewhere. Yep, here. Which again, going to the parallel mix, going to the plate, going to a room. Got a bit of EQ on it. Bye 4K. Yeah, just not so, because this was my old template. I had plugins on there that maybe aren't being used, and I would fit stuff into the template rather than just make stuff as I need it. What else would be useful? So I guess the song does get bigger, so it might be worth going through the whole thing. Let's think here. So what have we got? We've got some backing vocals here. In fact, I'll solo these backing vocals. Solo all the vocals.
Now I've just lost my way. Tell me lies that I'll be okay. Just promise times will change.
So yeah, we'll go through like all the delays and stuff in a sec, but so the backing vocals, hard panned, using those as an arrangement trick. Like he gave me everything. He recorded this in Australia in like a basement somewhere and kind of sent me everything. So the reason these are all different colors is because these are all comps, and then similar story here. So yeah, this is more like a production move, kind of. That's an important phrase. It sounds nice, cool little harmony. Let's whack it out wide, make the vocal feel big. So yeah, de-ess the crap out of it. Don't want like wonky side S's like in one ear. Like yes, it's just not a nice thing to hear. Kind of is distracting. A bit of compression, EQ, nothing fancy. But then that goes to my backing vocals sub, which am I doing anything? Yeah, bit of EQ. Sending it to the mix rear bus, plate, room, reverb. On this one as well, his vocals were a bit clean, so by the looks of it I've sent it to a distortion plugin to add a bit of grit. I'll show you that in and out in a flash. Is everything going to that? Vocal dist. No, it's just the lead vocal going to that, so I'll show you that in and out right now.
I've had weeks where I can't get up. The world seems so heavy and it's all too much-ish.
Now I'll exaggerate it for you.
I've had weeks where I can't get up. The world.
Automation, baby. Let's turn that off.
I've had weeks where I can't get up. The world seems so heavy and it's all too much, it's true.
Adds a bit of weight, a bit of grit without kind of adding too much volume when it's at the lower levels. I think it's more for the choruses to make it feel bigger, or the main outro bit, I guess. Where else shall we go? The drums. Ordinarily I would suggest, oh no, that's a bass. Drums. Ordinarily I would suggest bouncing your superior drummer stuff out, but I kind of this project was the start of me going, you know what, I don't want to have to force everything into a template, let's just make it sound good quick. And so I just kind of stuck with the MIDI. It's probably bad because it's triggering different samples each time, so I guess in theory if I were to do revisions it could sound like marginally different, like in certain spaces, but yeah, not too fussed about that. So yeah, here's the drums. Oops, that distorted vocal is coming through because it's solo safe. Right, so the drums sounding pretty cool, nothing too fancy, bit of EQ, bit of this, bit of that, and then in case you're interested, it's the indie folk. Looks like there's a preset I used and tweaked. Let's go into a parallel bus, quite heavily by the looks of it. Let's listen to the parallel bus, wherever that is. That'll be all the way down the bottom because for some reason I like scrolling up and down for days, or at least I used to. Right, so let's do it with the parallel bus. Let's drag this up as well. Whoops, CPU. Yeah, so just making it more exciting, bit thicker. Parallel compression's good for that. So yeah, this is going to a drum bus, which again is all the way down the bottom of my goddamn session because I don't know, because my template was stupid. Let's go into a channel strip, which is doing a bit of EQ, bit of compression, nothing too serious, no limiting. I just, for some reason in my template, I decided, you know what, I need a limiter on everything for no goddamn reason. Some electric guitars knocking around there. Same story. Kind of do the processing there. Like I'm pointing at the screen again. Do the processing kind of on the tracks, but have all the routing there, so that when it kind of gets time to do the actual kind of I don't know, macro mixing, I guess you call it, like moving things around based on sections. It's kind of easy to do. You've got easy access to giving the whole of all of the acoustic guitars, all of the electric guitars, sending all of them to the mix para rather than having a bajillion sends. So yeah, it's kind of good. It's having the kind of template for this stuff is good for kind of sending all your instruments to one thing. But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. I kind of prefer creating it on the fly because it's not always going to be the same things with the same plugins, with the same setups. So yeah, I've kind of moved away from that, but mix still sounds okay. Whilst we're at it though, I'll show you some of the reverbs and stuff going on, because there's a lot of sends and shit going on, but it's yeah, the reverbs are there, especially in solo, like really there. But I'll show you kind of the acoustic. I'll show you the intro, and then I'll mute all of the kind of delays and reverbs and all that stuff. Let's put them into a group real quick. Delays, reverbs, not reverbs, reverbs. And then, does that work? Yep, mute, good. Okay. Let's do this.
I've had weeks where I can't get up. The world seems so heavy and it's all too much, it's true. Darker days and even bleaker nights. It won't be forever, but this can't be right, I'm sure. Call me up just to keep me sane, and I've just lost my way.
So yeah, yeah, it's got quite a tail, and I guess it's a little bit washy. But when I listen to it on its own, I don't kind of go, oh man, this is really drenched in reverb. But then when you take the reverb out, it's carrying a lot of the body. Like I think I suggested that in the first revision of your mix, was to like add in a load of reverb, and it can add all this character and kind of thickness, and you don't need to do as much like EQ and multi-band compression or just normal compression or all that stuff. You can kind of just feed it into a nice room, a nice plate, a nice delay, and kind of create all this space and atmosphere, even though this, for all intents and purposes, is just, yeah, it's a single guitar, pan 15 over to the left, vocal up the middle, but it's still got this kind of sense of width because of these really wide delays and reverbs. Is there anything else that's fun and useful for you? I can't remember if I think I mentioned this I think I've mentioned this before, but this line here, this clip gain, that's kind of me pulling down the breaths manually by kind of 7 dB, and you can hear the breaths like in the mix, which I'll play right now.
Can't get up, the world seems so.
But even though you can hear them, they're not going which in this kind of music I think is pretty important. For some like the really heavy stuff, you can kind of get away with the kind of heavy breathing, like really intense stuff, but generally you want the breaths to sound musical, low, like leading into phrases rather than blow your face off kind of stuff. What else might be useful for this? VMR, ProQ, MB. I think this was because it was noisy. I think there's some Brusfree knocking around on a lot of these tracks. So yeah, like I said, a lot of this wasn't ideal circumstance recording, but we do what we must. And yeah, let me. Another thing about the kind of final routing at the bottom here is I have a final master fader because the plugins affect the output of what you're doing. So when you're kind of limiting things and it's kind of right up there at the ceiling or whatever, you kind of need to make doubly sure that when you're playing it back, it's not clipping or it's not going anywhere near clipping, and you can kind of read your peak information without kind of, and you kind of know your level. It's like having a blank channel there which has everything summed into it, gives you an idea of what your actual final level is, whereas the plugins can kind of alter that, and you can have stuff that's clipping all the way through, and then because you've got this limiter that's stopping it from clipping, you've got this crappy clip sounding mix, but you're reading your meters like hunting for what the problem is, and just having this final fader can kind of just help you know your exact final level. Like if your plugins are clipping, then you need to check that out. You need to go into your plugins and check all of their gain, but making sure your final output isn't clipped is important. because there can be things, maybe you've accidentally not got something routed through all of your final bits, and it's like just sending your mix a bit over the edge, and you don't realize until you bounce it out, and it's like, oh shit, man, this is clipping. So yeah, kind of 3-stage final output stuff. You got your submix, which the whole mix goes to, and then you kind of blending that with your mix parallel goes into the submaster, and then to make sure you're not doing anything stupid, a final master fader, your final kind of 2-bus. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that's useful for you routing wise, because it's a pretty simple track. Let's have a gander. No, not really. I mean, I guess I can show you the different levels, like no bass going to the mix, the rear bus, lots of lead vocals, bit of backing vocals. Oh, there's no keys in this track, I don't think. No strings in this one either. Yeah, acoustic guitars going in a bit. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's kind of my approach to routing. Well, it was my approach to routing. Now I just kind of add stuff as I think it needs it, and don't rely so heavily on a template. But yeah, hopefully that helps. I will speak to you soon. Ciao.